So the author of Ramayanam, Valmiki, as we all know, previously was a robber called Ratnakara. And this Ramayanam that was there, it was passed on to the sons of Rama, Lava and Kusha, by Valmiki himself. And here the point is more than just Rama's story, Sita Vivaham, Rama's Vanavasam also, Ravana kidnapping Sita, eventually Rama winning over Ravana with the help of the Vanarasena. Apart from this also, you have so much more in the Ramayanam that is there. So out of that we will look upon a few. Firstly, we will start with Dasharatha only. Now most of you might be aware, before Rama and his 3 brothers were born, Dasharatha had one more child previously, and through his first wife Kaushalya, and that was a daughter called Shanta. But this is when what happened is, Kaushalya had an elder sister called Varshini, and her husband was King Romapada. Now this Romapada who was there, he was also a great friend of Dasharatha, but unfortunately both of them, they did not have a child also. That is when it seems that Dasharatha, what happens is, one fine day that Varshini, the sister of Kaushalya, very jokingly, she asks for a child, it seems, when they come to Ayodhya also. And that's when Dasharatha said that you can adopt my daughter Shanta who is there, and as the rule of Raghukulam goes, if a promise is given, you have to fulfill that. Yeah. So the Shanta, that daughter, was given away to this Romapada and Varshini. And that's when what happened is, Shanta, she grows up in the kingdom of Romapada, and at that time what happens is, a Brahmana comes there, it seems, requesting for some help from the king. It was a monsoon season, but Romapada, what he does was, he was very busy in talking with his daughter. He did not notice the Brahmin and he just ignored him. That's when that Brahmin got very angry and he left the kingdom, went away. Lord Indra becomes very angry with this, because a Brahmana devotee of his, now that Brahmana who was there was a great devotee of Indra. So Indra gets very angry also, and he decides to punish Romapada. And it seems that in the coming monsoon season that is there, it did not rain at all. That's when Raja Romapada, what he does was, he calls upon another Rishi Rishyashringa. Today we have the city of Sringeri or Sringaverapura, that gets a name from this Rishi Rishyashringa. Romapada invites this Rishyashringa to perform a sacrifice, to pray to the god of rain, that is Indra. And finally, later what happens is, as you can say, as a mark of respect also, the daughter of Romapada, Shanta, was given in marriage to this Rishi Rishyashringa. Further, the same Rishi Rishyashringa comes to the palace of Ayodhya to do the Putrakameshti Yajna, and that's how the payasam was given to the daughters, to the wives of Dasharatha, Kaushalya, Sumitra, Kaikeyi, which helps them to conceive easier, and that's how Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana and Shatrughna were born. So this is the story of Shanta, the first daughter of Dasharatha, and how she was given to Romapada, the friend of Dasharatha. Another instance is the next story which is there, is the story behind the 10 heads of Ravana. Now Ravana, actually, if you see, he was a great bhakta of Shiva. He was a great scholar, he had mastered the Vedas, he could play the Veena very well. But what happens is, he goes, not little, slowly he starts going little by little on the margam, on the adharma path, and that's when ultimately one fine day, that is what brings about his own downfall. Now what happens is, he does lot of tapasya to Lord Shiva on the banks of the Narmada. Now if you see, all these asuras who are there, they can go to any extent in order to show their bhakti tapasya also. That's when every time what happened is, he used to cut off his head, it seems. And every time he cut off his head, it seems that 10 times continuously his head grew back. Again he kept on cutting his head after doing little tapasya. That's when it seems that Shiva later manifests in front of him and gives him those 10 heads. That's how Ravana gets those 10 heads, and he gets the name also of Dashananaha. Now these 10 heads actually, what they indicate is, they indicate the 4 Vedas and the Shad Shastras, the 6 Shastras which Ravana had actually mastered. So those 10 heads of Ravana actually represent the 6 Shastras and the 4 Vedas. So later what happens is, after winning over Lanka or so, Ravana, he goes to meet Shiva in Kailasa. That's when Shiva was engrossed in tapasya and was stopped by Nandi Bhagavan, Shiva's gatekeeper. That's when Ravana, he teased Nandi also, and that's when Nandi gets very angry and curses that this your Lanka that is there would be destroyed by a monkey. That's how Hanuman comes, and from there the destruction of Lanka starts in. But next, Ravana, what he does was, he tries to lift Kailasa Parvatam. Like I told you, all these asuras who are there, they can go to any extent to make sure that what they think becomes true. That's when Shiva gets very angry and he wanted to put down the pride of Ravana. That's when what he does was, he just places a toe, it seems, his toe on the hill, on the Kailasa Parvatam, and Ravana's hand actually crushed beneath the Parvatam. And he cried so painfully that it shook the entire world. And that's when it seems that next, still Ravana does not give up. He chants the Shivatandava Stotram that is there, and that's when Shiva releases. It seems that he gave him a sword also. Shiva Bhagavan gives a sword to Ravana, which was also given the name Ravana, meaning one with a terrifying roar, it seems. Ravana starts roaring, and in this instance only he composes the Shivatandava Stotram. So this is one more instance of how Ravana gets the 10 heads and how Shiva becomes pleased, and ultimately the destruction of Lanka and Ravana was brought about by a monkey and his Sena, that is Hanuman and his entire Vanara Sena. So these are few stories that are there from the Ramayanam. Tomorrow also we will continue in the next session. We will look at few more episodes that are there. These are quite common stories, most of you might be aware, but little, not very very important topics that are there, but quite uncommon. So that's the reason I felt little we should touch upon these. Yeah.